Hi everyone. Today is not a holiday, but I had a couple of viewers ask me in recent videos that I have done if I can do a vlog. And someone wanted to, I think somebody wanted to see how I set up my craft sale tent. My hair's falling. I've got one piece back here and I don't have a bobby. Yeah, I got a bobby pin right here. But anyhow, I don't do vlogs. I'm not sure exactly how to do one. I have watched vlogs before and people just talk about their daily lives and talk about projects they've done. And I have also seen people with, like, maybe if you want to call it like a cheat sheet or something, so that way they can keep track of where they are and what they're talking about. So anyhow, so I'm just going to talk about how I set up my craft fair, how I first get it started. Okay, so the first thing I do is I go onto Facebook and I go to Marketplace, because Marketplace is going to have a lot of organizations that are going to post there showing that they're going to have craft fairs, the days, the times, how to submit your form. And so let me bring this down a little bit. There we go. And so then you click on to get to their form and you fill it out. And a lot of times their forms, they're going to have, they're going to ask you questions like, well, what kind of craft do you do? What is the name of your business? Some of them do, not all of them, but some of them do ask, how long have you been doing this? Have you done craft fairs before? They will also have the price for your spot that you would like to have. Now, like some of the craft fairs around here, some people, they can go indoors, and then some people, they can go outdoors. Now, some craft fairs around here, it's all outdoors, like a flea market. Craft fairs, they also have activities like for children. Like the last one that I went to, and I'm going to be inserting pictures at the end of this video to show my setup, which is, I wasn't that happy with my setup, but I'm trying to sell down what I had in my shop that I closed up a year and a half ago. So I'm trying to get rid of that stuff, and I eventually want to get to one type of line of items. And but anyhow, let's get back to that. So yeah, there's going to be all kinds of activities. There's going to some craft fairs, they do have music. Like the one I went to in November, which was my very first one, November 2018. They had somebody play the guitar and sing, and he was really good. And it was a really fun day, and it was like 80 degrees. It was a nice, beautiful, sunny day, and I did good. I did really well. I did over the amount that I thought I was going to do. That's because here in Florida, we have snowbirds, and they come down from the north starting in October, and they leave around March, April. Some of them stay until May. And so anyhow, I have done like 3 around here. The last 2 I have not done well at. The first one I did fantastic. So I have decided that I'm just going to go ahead and stick with doing it once a year. And that's the one that I did fantastic with. They got in touch with me about a month ago and asked me if I would like to do it again next November. And I said, sure, definitely, yeah, I'd like to, because I had a lot of fun that day. I mean, there were so many people. It was, they had clowns. See, here in Highlands County, they have a clown school. And so they had their clowns out. They were making the animal balloons, and they were doing the face painting for the children, and they had food vendors and all sorts of things. And they had some people where they wanted to be inside because of the air conditioning, and they didn't need electricity. And I didn't need electricity, but I stayed outside because it was, you know, it's such a beautiful weather around here in November. And I figured I'd probably get more business outside than I would inside, which I was right, because during part of when it slowed down just a tad bit, not much, but just enough for me to take a break. And my my sister was with me, but anyhow, and I was able to get up and walk around a little bit. And I walked inside, and there was hardly nobody in there buying. Hardly nobody in there walking around either. They had vendors in there, but they didn't hardly have anybody walking around. So I'm glad I stayed on the outside, because I did close to $100 that day, and I was very, very happy. And so I have decided I'm just going to do it once a year, because I have tried it 3 times so far since November, and the last 2 times have not gone well. So I have found out that November is my best time to do a craft fair. And we even have art shows where people set up their things they make out of wood, or sculptures, or clay, or oil painting, or whatever. So we have festivals like that around here too. And year-round we have festivals, not just craft fairs, but year-round we have all kinds of festivals. We have like, it's called the food truck. And I think it's like once a month they have the food truck. I've never been. I've been living in this area for 9 years, and not once have I been to downtown to the food truck event. One of these days maybe I'll go. But so yeah, we have the food truck event, which is, I heard, a lot of fun. They have a what's it called? Craft beer festival, and I heard that goes really well. I guess it does, because it's homemade beer. Let's see, what else? Dancing. We have dancing going on. The American Legion and the AMVETS, I mean, they've got events going on all the time. The American Legion, they stay open every day year round, and they serve breakfast and lunch, and then they have some of the guys go in there and they play cards like poker or whatever. And I don't know, my husband, he's a member of the American Legion, and we've always been participants of the American Legion in Virginia, but since we've been down here, we haven't. And I would like to get involved with the American Legion again, because in Virginia it was a lot of fun. So I can imagine in Virginia, which was a small farming community, it was fun. I can imagine down here it would be too. Probably even more fun. I'm getting off track, aren't I? I do that. Like the other day on Facebook, I says, I don't get distracted easily. Oh, look, there's fabric. So I get distracted very easily. I am going to, I got off the craft fair. Hold on, let me finish that up first. So anyhow, you fill out the form, you send in your payment, and some of them, they have this, what is that thing set up where you can, well, some of them have it set up where you can pay through PayPal, but there's another company that they do online. It starts with a Z, I think it is. Anyhow, always paying checks, because that way I have a record of it. And and I always make a copy of the form that I fill out. So that way I have one for my records, because you've got to send the form in to them. So I send the original to them, but I make a copy for my records. And uh, what was I going to say? Talking about, oh, so I usually send a check, because in the check registry, you know, I can see that, what check number it is, what date, how much, and who it goes to and what it's for. And so that's why I like to do checks. I don't like to do debit cards too much. Oh, and talking about debit cards, I do have a Square reader. And the Square reader comes in really handy, like at the last craft fair that I had. And I've got to find some way of posting this. But when people come into my tent and they say, oh, that's so cute, you know, and I start talking with them, you know, telling them how I made it and that kind of thing. And if they seem really interested, then I'll say, well, I take checks and I take debit cards. And they say, you do? I says, yeah, I take checks and debits, plus I take cash. I do not take checks. I mean, not checks, I'm sorry. I take debit cards and credit cards. I'm sorry. That's what I tell them. So I tell them, I says, I have a Square reader, and I can do your debit card or your check card, credit card, or I can do cash. I will not take checks, because I don't want to take the chance on the check bouncing. Now, I know if I do their debit card, it'll let me know if they have the funds in their account. So I don't worry too much about that. And I just pay a small transaction fee. It's not that much. I can't remember exactly how much I pay. Just a couple, like between 2 and 3%, something like that per transaction. And I don't have the Square reader where it's got the chip in it. You know, you can just slide the card up. Like, let me hide my number on here. But you know, like that chip right there, I don't have it on my Square card. I think you can just get those on terminals. And and the Square reader is free. And the account is free. You don't pay a monthly fee. You don't pay anything unless you do a transaction. And that's it. So Square is your best route. If you're going to do a craft fair, get yourself a Square card. And, I mean, a Square reader. Go to, I think it's called squarereader.com, but Google it. You know, Google the Square reader, and it'll come up with a website. So you need a Square reader, because a lot of people, they don't like carrying cash these days. I know that a lot of times I don't. I don't like carrying a lot of cash. I'd rather use my debit card if I can. And so make sure you have a Square reader. And the only thing with the Square reader is you have to have a bank account, of course, because the money that you use from that Square reader is going to be transferred to your bank account. It will be transferred the next day. Not the same day, but, you know, like the next day. And like if it's on a Saturday, like most of the time, that's when I use mine, would be on a Saturday. Then I would see it maybe on a Monday or Tuesday following. Let's see, what else? You need a canopy, at least a 10 by 10 canopy. Mine is pink, because pink is one of my favorite colors. Probably my most favorite color is pink. Let's see, what else? And most of the time, your space is going to be a 12 by 12 or 10 by 10. If it's a 12 by 12, that gives you a little extra room, you know, so you can maybe scoot your tables over just a little bit over the edge from underneath your canopy. That way you can have a little more walking room. And you will see in my pictures, like here's the entrance of my tent. And I have a table on the right and a table on the left. And then I have a table as you're walking in. I have a table facing you as you're walking in. That's where I'm sitting. And I'll take something to keep me busy. Sometimes I might take some sewing that I need to finish doing hems on or whatever. Or, you know, because I can do that by hand. Or I might take some crocheting that I need to finish putting the ends through, weaving the ends through. So I always take me something to do. And make sure if you're not going to be where you need electricity, make sure that your phone is on full charge, and make sure that you have one of those portable chargers, and make sure that's fully charged, because you're going to be doing, more likely, if it's anything like around here, you're going to be at this craft fair from at least, well, they like to have you set up by 9 o'clock. Some like you to be set up by 8 o'clock. And then it runs until 4. The last one I was at, they wanted you to be set up by 9, and because they started at 10 and it was 10 to 4. Well, it takes me 2 hours to set up. And then it takes about 30 minutes to set up my tent. And so we have to get there like 2.5 hours before the event starts. Now this year, I don't know, this year I think I might go inside. I haven't decided, because it's only $10 extra if you go inside and you have electricity. That way I can take my sewing machine if I want to, you know, do a little sewing or whatever. So I really haven't decided on what I'm going to do this year. I don't know. I did so well last year outside. Maybe I better just stick with being outside. I don't know. So there's some options there for you to do a craft fair. It is a lot of fun, but it's a lot of pressure to get ready for. It's a lot of work. You really, really have to be committed to making these products. Now, like when I make doll clothes or doll accessories like blankets or whatever, I make 3 of each, but I will have maybe 4 different types of prints, solids, or whatever I'm making, and I will make 3 each of those. My key fobs that I do on my embroidery machine, I make about 3 to 4 each of each design. So I do 3 or 4 of each design. What else do I do? Headbands. I make about 2 each of the headbands, and I get the headbands from Dollar Tree, because I think you can get like a pack of, what is that, a pack of 3 for $1, children's headbands. So that's what I use to make my headbands with, because I do machine embroidery headbands. Let's see, what else? Oh, if I make like a stuffed toy or something, I'll make maybe 2 or 3 of those. But I'll have a variety of different types of fabrics, and if I have to use buttons or whatever. So I keep a good stock of my fabrics, and I use a lot of scraps. I always keep, if I think that I can use a scrap, even a scrap this size, I will keep if I can. This, I was making the sachets with this, and it's supposed to look like a tea bag, and I've got the other piece to it, but I didn't finish this because I ran out of this scents that I was using. Let's see what else. So make sure you have plenty of stock. I was so worried. Well, how much am I supposed to have? You know, how much stock am I supposed to have this? How much am I supposed to have this? So I was really scared. I was really nervous for my first one. So now I have learned. I've only done 3, but you know, it doesn't take you long to learn. What else? Oh, go to Vistaprint. Get some business cards, or you can make your own business cards. If you want to make them on your own computer and your printer, you've got a program for it, go for it, because it's cheaper that way. But if you go to Vistaprint and your first set of business cards, you get 500 for $9.99. I also went to Vistaprint and I got myself a banner made that says Paradise Creations. And I think I have a I can't remember, because I think I have a picture of a sewing machine on the banner. Yeah, because I have a sewing machine on my business cards. So So make sure you have a banner. And the banners are not that expensive. They're like, oh, I don't remember. I think I paid no more than $15 for, let's see, my canopy is 10 by 10. And I put it on the back side of my canopy, you know, like when you're walking in. So it's like 8 by something, I guess. So it's, you know, it's a nice size, fantastic material, really nice vinyl, and it, you know, and if you know Vistaprint, you know they guarantee their work, they stand by their products. That's why whenever I need something special like that, I will go to Vistaprint. I think that's about it. Oh, and you should have table coverings for your tables that you're putting your merchandise on. Like for my key fobs, and you will see in my pictures. Like for my key fobs, I went to Michael's when I had my shop, and I got those turnaround things that you can put your necklaces on. Well, that's what I put my key fobs on. So I got 3 of those. My husband made me a pegboard. And the last show, I didn't need the pegboard, so I just left it here. But he made me a pegboard, so if I need to put pegs up and put stuff on it, then I can. Let's see. People, like in the winter, like in November, people bought a lot of my crocheted items, like my hats and scarves and that kind of thing. And I'm not making any more of that stuff for right now. I've got some hats left from last November, so I'm going to try to sell those down. And maybe November of 2020, I might have some more crocheted hats and scarves made. But first, right now, I want to, you know, get sold what I already have. Okay, so right here is where I'm going to insert the pictures of my setup that I did 2 weeks ago at the Blueberry Festival. Okay, now I'm going to let you know that, and I'm excited and I'm kind of nervous. You know, I've been talking about this for a while, my back. Tomorrow morning at 8:30, I'm going into surgery. And they're going to do some back surgery on me. And they're going to put that box, it's a stimulator box, they're going to be sticking inside of my muscle, either on my right side or my left side of my hip. I'm not sure exactly what side they're going to put it on. And then they're going to run what they call the liners up my spine. So I'm going to have 2 liners going up with the metal sensors on them. And so that's going to be done tomorrow morning at 8:30. My husband and I have a hotel reserved that's like 5 minutes away from the surgical clinic for tonight. So we're going to go tonight and do that. Right now, my tire, my back right tire, had a nail in it. And the tire pressure, well, Saturday, when I was out yard sailing, I went by the Ford dealership because we have a guarantee, well, not a guarantee, but an extended warranty on the tires. And I went by there and I told them, I says, look, I says, my tire pressure's down. Can you put some air in for me? And they said, okay. So they did. And what's today? Wednesday? Monday. I asked my husband, I says, how would you like to go to Lakeland and go to Hobby Lobby and go to Chick-fil-A? Because we don't have a Chick-fil-A where I live. So the only time we get Chick-fil-A is when we go out of town. And that's one of our favorite places. So I says, how would you like to do that and spend the day out of town? I says, you know, here lately, whenever we go out of town, it's always because of my back. So I says, how would you like to go to Lakeland, go out of town, and just try to have a nice day out? He said, okay. And so that's what we did. And well, anyhow, so while we were driving, the tire pressure, you know, my husband checked the tire pressure as we were driving. It was set at 35 on Saturday because that's where it's supposed to be. It was down to 16. And no, it was down to 20. It was down to 27 or 21. And then when we got back home, it was down to 16. So my husband took the car in yesterday, and they had to order a tire. So he's there now getting the tire put on. And so anyhow, this is almost 26 minutes of vlogging. So I guess I did it right. Let me know if I did. But anyhow, you have a good day or a good night whenever you're watching this. Please subscribe, click the like channel, leave comments and questions. And I have some more wish things that I'm waiting on to come in, and some more eBay. And then I've got a big surprise for you. And I'm just waiting for everything to come in. Alright, bye-bye.